Fly fishing Henry's Fork of the Snake River in Idaho is to fish a river rated among the top trout streams in North America. High praise when you consider the competition. However, a claim hard to argue against, especially as the river widens and meanders through Harriman State Park, once the private retreat of railroad and mining tycoons with names like Harriman and Guggenheim. A river whose primary source of crystal clear spring water, millions of gallons a day, bubbles up from under an ancient lava flow rich in alkaline minerals. Minerals aquatic plant life thrives on. A river renowned for consistent and large insect hatches, a virtual insect factory, which to no one's surprise results in trout of trophy size. The opportunity to cast flies to large, wild rainbow and brown trout attracts anglers from across North America and beyond, many of whom make an annual pilgrimage to fish these fabled waters, Mecca in the world of fly fishing, on opening day of the railroad ranch in Harriman State Park.
Well, I'm here to take one off of my bucket list. What you're seeing behind me Henry's Fork in the Harriman Ranch. This right out here is referred to as the Millionaire's Pool. Now, it's a little bit of a breeze tonight, and there were some green drakes that have been coming off, so we might try those, but this will be my first time fishing it, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm going to bring you along with me. I'm going to be here for a couple of days, so I'll be fishing some of the other sections tomorrow as well. But a beautiful evening. It's June 21st, and I think it's like around, check the time, 5:30. So might be a little while. The wind might die down as the evening gets a little later. So, but beautiful place. The Harriman family owned this. They were the owners of the Pacific Railroad. They donated this to the state of Idaho several years back. Well, it's a little windy. Kind of hoping the wind might die down, and then I'm thinking I might swing around. I don't know what they call it in the Navy terms, the leeward side or something, to see if I can get a little out of the wind and see what's going on. But I'm not seeing anything hatching. I'm not seeing anything really rising. Maybe a skimmer bug or two. But I'm not also seeing any birds, and that's usually a sign. And I was just up there by one of the ranch buildings talking with some folks, and there was a lot. I think I probably got a little bit of video of it too. These seagulls that were going voraciously after these green drakes. And then I started talking to some of the people here, and because I said, like, wow, don't you get worried that you might catch one of those seagulls? And they said, oh yeah, I caught one last week. Blah 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 blah. So at any rate, I'm going to head up, and we'll see if I can find an area where the fishing might be a little more ideal. Well, I've been walking around, waited out in a couple of spots just to cool down a bit. Water's nice and cool. I'm not seeing anything rising wise. I am noticing some, folks that seem to know where they're going and what they're doing, and I made note that a few of them were trying that little peninsula over there. You can see a few little riffles.
Since they left the area, I decided to head over. It looked like a good place to wait for a hatch. The riffles might produce caddisflies, while the trees might shelter green drakes from the wind.
Well, I crossed the river, and I'm standing in the shade of a nice little pine tree, just waiting to see if there's going to be any action. I mean, I've already had landed on me a yellow Sally, which is a little golden sort of stonefly. I've seen plenty of brown drake spinners dancing all over the place, and the caddisflies are everywhere back there in that little riffle. So really what I'm trying to find out is, where are these things emerging from? And are there any fish that are trying to grab them as they emerge? Well, while I'm waiting to see if there's any action, I think I might just, I noticed a lot of caddisflies around here. And looks like a spinner. Oh, spinners. These brown drakes. Yeah, that might even be spinners. You can see these things dancing around these waters. So I'm going to throw out a little caddis emerger. I'm going to swing it's sort of like swinging a wet fly, a little caddis emerger, and see if anything takes. But I'm not seeing any rises from any fish. I'm not spotting anything. It's really muddy. And they say that that's really good for the brown drakes. The brown drakes are, they like to tunnel and burrow in the mud, and then they emerge out of that. So, this is a good sign for a brown drake hatch, if I'm fortunate. And that's what all the other guys here are waiting for too. Well, not all the guys, but maybe 6.
With no takers on my swinging a caddis soft hackle, I moved up ahead of the riffles to the flat water.
You see all the caddis flies flying around? I just had a really nice rise. Just about, say 30 feet, maybe a little less, straight out that way. And I also noticed a dun of some kind, rather large, from even a drake. It was pretty big, just floating by. So I think it might be time to, and plus I'm looking at, these are all, these caddisflies, are these, oh, I think these are, what are these? Yeah, I think they're caddisflies. They're big ones though. I thought it was like mayflies.
In addition to the caddisflies dancing around me, there were a number of green drakes. So I tied on a green drake to imitate what was likely the tail end of a hatch that had been ongoing, as there were still a few duns drifting by. My thinking was that the trout might still be targeting them.
Another big rise right there. Might be the same fish. So if I cast it just right, I might be able to try to get both these guys. Okay, nice tight knot. And I got to pinch the barb. Well, there's only been 2 rises, but they were nice ones. And I haven't seen any rises other than that. So I think it's time to try catching some fish. If I don't stick myself on the finger first. That's not too far from where that rise was. Let me give it a little movement. Oh, don't get caught. Didn't. Good.
While I had seen a couple of large rises, I also noticed a few faint ones. It's worth noting that it's usually smaller trout that rise aggressively, while larger trout, the trout that I'm really targeting as well, rise slowly and sip the flies in.
I'll probably tie you on a maybe an emerger. Maybe that's a little more in what it's looking for. Well, it looks like I've got either one fish rising and moving around a little bit, or I've got a few fish that are right here. Yeah.
The fly I tied on was actually a Henry's Fork cripple, a very popular fly recommended to me at one of the fly shops in Last Chance. I continued to fish as the sun set, changing flies, changing out my leader and tippets. The rises in the area began to pick up, but it was getting dark, and I had to wade back across Millionaire Pool to get to my car. What I didn't realize until I started to wade back was the number of people now fishing on the opposite shore. There was nowhere for me to cross without disturbing or putting down a trout someone was working. So I waited until finally a space opened up and I was able to cross. That was a lesson learned. So join me in part 2 of my journey to explore and fish Henry's Fork as I check out other sections of the river, and come nightfall, I'll be back to fish this section of the railroad ranch. Only this time, I won't get caught on the wrong side of the river come nightfall. Please subscribe, which you can do by clicking on the icon in the lower right-hand corner of this video.